Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Today's Business Leaders. This is a show that I really enjoy being a part of because I get to have amazing entrepreneurs on who have really experienced a lot in life and in their entrepreneurial journey and always have a ton of value to share. I'm really pleased today that we have Holly and Chad Ogstadt on. Their company is Quantum Impact Coaching, and we're going to talk about their entrepreneurial journey, the things they've learned, and I know they have some amazing value to share with you. So stay tuned, and we'll dive into the interview here in just a moment.
I love that intro. I'm like, yes, let's go.
Good. We're trying to level up my shows every year, so I'm glad you enjoy that. And I'm so excited to have you both here. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
So before I get to my actual real first question for the show, because I only have one scripted question or one question I always ask, I'm going to ask you something, Holly, because I don't remember, but when did we first connect? I feel like you'll remember better than me.
Yeah, so I always like to look back and like the divine timing of everything. So we actually connected back when I was getting my ordainment in deliverance and healing through a place called Kingdom Ministries, where you actually did the website, and I had internet background and I was doing the marketing too. So we came together working on some website for Kingdom Ministries, like back in, I want to say it was probably 2010.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's why I don't remember the website, because I've built thousands of websites since then. But
it just stood out. Like I didn't remember at first. I didn't put the pieces together until I saw that we were from the same city. And I'm like, wait a minute, is that the same? No, wait, what? That's crazy. But that's divine, and
yeah,
it's just how it goes sometimes.
That's insane. And where are you based now? You're not local to me now, still, are you?
Not local anymore. No.
Good call.
We're now in Florida.
Good. That's where I want to be, somewhere sunnier when my son graduates.
There you go.
Yeah, it's awesome. We've stayed connected for so many years now, and watched your journey, both close and far, because we connected. We were still connected on social media for a while, and then we both came into a mastermind together, and so it's been really exciting to see the growth and the progression. And so I'll ask for both of you, because I know it sounds like you both have taken a little bit of independent paths in your entrepreneurial journey to start, and then brought it together, which is super exciting. So question for both of you, and I'll start with Holly, but when did you first realize that you were an entrepreneur?
I think I always knew that there was something different about me, and that working a conventional job wasn't going to work out for me. I've only had like maybe 2 or 3 in my life, and they never worked out. And I think the main, like when I finally went for it, like that moment where it was like, all right, it's time to just do this already and stop talking about it and thinking about it and dreaming about it. It was actually when I had a lot of health challenges. I was in a hospital bed, and I was told that I may never walk again. And my whole life shifted upside down. And I went to, how do I build a business online? Like that was my go-to. And I started all of this in a hospital bed, like 2013. Here we are.
That's crazy. Well, we're definitely going to dig into more of that. And for you, Chad, when did you first realize you're an entrepreneur?
It's funny is I don't know. It's like I was just living in it, but what I realized, like hindsight, it was probably my senior year. So it's the first day of my senior year, I get a phone call. I was hanging out with this a friend. On her number, got a call, which my parents didn't have her number at all. So we're like, this is weird. Like I call back, and there's my grandma, and she's like, your dad had a massive heart attack. Don't speed to the hospital. And he'd actually passed away in that hospital. And it literally it put me on kind of a tailspin, like kind of almost like a rebellion like I dyed my hair blue. Like I was like kind of going like I signed up for co-op, like where I would go like get a job, but then like I didn't end up getting the job. So, but I didn't go to that class anymore. So I almost didn't graduate high school. Well, I didn't graduate high school on time. So I had to go to summer school my senior year of high school to graduate. And I would bring donuts every day and then sell them to the other kids in class. And then there was a bully in there to try to like steal my donuts. And I like had to fight him to like defend my donuts. And so
You were claiming your stake with that donut.
yeah, it was.
I'm an entrepreneur.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's it's so interesting. Like you said, Holly, there, like I've had two jobs and I'm not very employable and not a great employee. And it's definitely, it takes, I think, a lot of time and a lot of self-awareness to realize that you're different. I think we know inherently early on, but then to really be able to articulate that and understand it and realize why we're different and why we don't function like other people is definitely a long journey. Because at least for me, I know there's a lot of external judgment and internal judgment that you don't show up or look like other people or act like them or think like them. And so for you, Holly, as you were in your hospital bed building a business, what was that like, and what were the early stages for you to kind of catch us up from that point, which is obviously a super challenging point, to where you are today? And you can both kind of fill in because I know your journeys come together. So
No, it became like when I was in the hospital for a while, like it was crazy. And I just it was like an obsession. It was like I would sleep it was the first time I ever heard The Secret was in that hospital trip. So I read that, and then I started, Les Brown was in my head the whole time. And I was like, okay, how do I do this? I need something that's going to work for me. I found this video of this woman, and she was talking about blogging and making YouTube videos. And I'm like, okay, I'll just make YouTube videos. I'm in a hospital bed. I have a story. I'm just going to share my story. And I don't know where this is going to lead, but I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to share my story. I will say, note here, I have deleted those videos. I needed to as part of my healing journey to get complete on that side of my life. But I would share my story. Like I was out of the hospital bed, I was in PT, I was in water therapy. And so I started sharing my vision, and ultimately why I was doing this is I just had this great vision for my family and to show my children what was possible, and that I was going to heal my body and create leverage in our life and build this wealth. And the more I shared that, it just started, as you share who you are, the right people just come into your life. And that's exactly what happened. I started getting attention from leaders, like big leaders. And they wanted, they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And they gave me an opportunity to partner alongside with them. This is like a multi-million-dollar, his name is Giancarlo Badazzo, like saw something in me and gave me my step up. And I got the honor to go, and I started off as like a little assistant, and I kind of built my way. I eventually was the operations director of this multi-million-dollar e-commerce company, and putting programs together and setting up events. And like I started finding my groove, and it was like, this is what I freaking live for. Like all of the sleepless nights in the hospital bed and the nursing people that were coming into my house, and I would just study while I was down. Like I would study funnels, I would study automation, I would study like, how does this work? And it just like being in alignment. I guess when you're in alignment and you're intentional about what you want to create, and you show up authentic, the right people have just shown up, including my husband, and he has his own story of where he was at, and how we came together was, I think, super fun in itself. And we've created together an incredible company that has made a difference with hundreds of people, not just people, but like leaders and people who are different, who've known that they're different, and tapping into their gifts and creating from that. It's like, I'm just in awe, to be honest. Like it's not, I can't give any credit to me. Like there's just a something more working all the time for us.
Yeah. What do you think like was the drive that kept you going to like invest at that level? Because I think it's easy for any of us to be in pain, be in the middle of a crisis, have things going on physically, mentally, emotionally, everything, all those challenges at once. What really drove you to really invest at that level of studying and learning and pushing and like just putting things out there when most people would honestly be curled up in a ball and just be trying to recover for what they were dealing with?
My children.
Yeah.
Still to this day. And it wasn't to like go save them or give them this big, huge thing, but I need them to know that everything is possible for them and that no matter what, you can create a life.
Yeah.
And I had to be it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so what was your journey like up until meeting Holly, Chad? What was that like?
Yeah, so a lot of so I actually, for every 3 months, probably for like 10 years, I started a new business, and then like smacked my head into a wall, and then go start another business. Like, as an entrepreneur, you don't quit, you pivot. And so I would like just keep starting these businesses and stopping, starting and stopping. And then I found kind of one, and I went to an event for that situation. It was an affiliate thing, and had some success there, a good amount of success. That's where we met in that realm, and then decided that wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. That I didn't feel like it was authentic to where I was going, and I felt like I could serve on a bigger level. So I started doing did my own event. That was a hot mess because I didn't have any organizational skills or know any of that stuff. And then I sold a retreat out of that event, and that was even hotter mess. And then it was like, I was literally, after that event, I'm like, oh, this is such a hot mess. I can't do this by myself. And like, it was literally like we knew each other. Like really, it came from me as like a selfish like situation. I'm like, I need somebody that can really help me like actually create something here.
Meanwhile, we've been friends online for years. Like,
yeah.
I would buy traffic from him, like back in the home business days, kind of like,
Nice.
kind of talk here and there lightly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's like we connected. Like I'm like, hey, come hang out, and I'm thinking like this could be a great business, and then it was like, oh, we actually like each other, and then like we're kind of like inseparable, and then we did do business, and it was like kind of a iteration after iteration until like it was kind of like what I was going through. I like brought my old patterns of like new business things into this situation. And then I remember our first client that like, so we transitioned from let's do ads for people.
But it became like, oh, you know how to do ads? Oh, can you do solar ads? All right, let's go. Like, that's what it started off as. And he started calling his friends and like getting clients for solar ads. And then it was like, oh, okay, what else can we do? You can build funnel? Oh, let's go. I will say this guy raised my prices. I was way undercharging on my funnel building expertise before him. And we just went with it. We went with the flow, and we started an agency together, and we were working with like everybody, like literally like knee pain doctors and hair restoration clinics and solar, and like it was such a wide array.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it started making me miserable because I'm like, this isn't it. Like, I feel like I just created a job. I had built this whole cruise ships and like the life. Right. And here I am like doing these funnels, and I started to become miserable, and it started attacking my body. And we knew that something wasn't working. And we went to this event. Some of our clients were super cool. Like, we had a publicist client, and then we had she's like a neurobrain hacker, a performance coach. And at this event, the guy, his name is Steve Farber, he said something that was so profound. And he said, do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. And in that moment, yeah, big, in that moment, we looked at each other. Chad got back and he's like, all right, I have this framework. And then he writes out this triangle. He's like, do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. And he starts like writing out what is now one of our frameworks that we help coaches really discover who their people are. And we look, and it really, that biohacking coach that is freaking incredibly gifted, who didn't know how to get her gifts in the world, that was the project that excited me. How do we get more of that? How do we impact those people? And we take all of our gifts that we've known and just really channel into the people who are making a difference in the lives of other people. That's going to get me excited. I'm all for it, right? Because it's the energetics behind everything. So if you're not loving what you're doing and you don't have that energy behind it, it just, you're going to feel like you're being dragged in your business or suffocated eventually. Like, sure, you can make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And the long term, for me, it's not worth it for me.
Yeah.
And like looking at it, just what kept us down that path was like, okay, so we launched a course and we're like, okay, this is cool. And then we're like, you know what? Like, I don't even know where we got that idea, but we were like, let's launch coaching on the back end of this course. And the people that bought the course weren't getting any results, but we had like 3 coaching clients that came out of the course sales, and one of them had like the most amazing results. So she was a health coach and she was offline and she wanted to go online and she had no clue how to do it. She was going nomadic, and she lost 70% of her clients because she didn't even know how to deliver online. Like, that's how like untechnical she was.
Yeah.
And we ended up helping, or Holly worked on her offer and her program. She was charging good rates, right? She was charging $17,000 for the year at the time, but Holly added to her offer and her program and really buffed it up and upped the price to $33,000 for the year. And she went out and signed 6 clients in 6 weeks, working with us using our frameworks and our processes. And that literally like lit us on fire, right? It was like, wow, if this person can get this type of results from what we are doing, like, she went from maybe doing $100,000 a year to doing $100,000 in a few weeks. Like, holy shit, like, what can I do?
Yeah. That's incredible. And that's awesome. And you touched on, Chad, how like early on I'm curious about this. You said you started a business every 3 months, which I can relate to, because I have no idea how many bad ideas I've launched or ones that didn't work. In the middle of like all those pivots, all those tries, how did you feel? Was it discouraging, or did you see that you were going somewhere, or what was that like in the moment? Because I'll ask you in a minute with hindsight what it looks like, but in the moment, what was that like?
I'm like, I guess I'm always just constantly like in the frustration of like hitting the wall. It does whatever, and you're like, oh, like this sucks or whatever. But like then my mind starts like looking around, and then I just get excited about the next thing. Mm-hmm. That was like my life was like, oh, I'm not excited about this anymore because it's not working. What's the next thing? And it stunted me for like 10 years, right? It caused me to be stagnant and never really get anywhere. But it kept me going, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I've been in cycles like that. I've seen plenty of people in cycles like that, and it's obviously super, super frustrating. But I can always tell if they're a real entrepreneur, they just keep going no matter what. And anybody looking at least at my life from the outside would be, you're insane to keep working for yourself, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, all the things I went through. And even in the moment, sometimes you're like, maybe I am crazy. But so that drive is definitely one of the things that just, totally distinguishes us as entrepreneurs and allows us to push forward. And now, as you look back at that period, I know you just said that you felt like you were stagnated, but if looking back at it now, what do you see now, Chad?
I wasn't ready to commit to something. So I wasn't ready to commit, and I didn't have the discipline to push through that first block, to kind of keep that, because it's like every entrepreneurial journey, every business that you launch is always going to hit some sort of wall. And it could be a month, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, but you're going to hit a wall. Like nobody has, and it's actually even worse if you don't hit it longer. Because if you just have great success and then all of a sudden things stop working, you're like, oh, like that's when the depression kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because at 3 months or 1 month, you're like, oh, okay, this business is just not, there's flawed or not my thing or whatever. But like, if you're like, this really worked and then it stopped working, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I gotta say, like, Chad is one of the most remarkable people I've seen in the sense of keeping focus now. So there was something that shifted. I'm almost curious. I'm not the interviewee, but like, what was it that shifted for you? Because we've been running Quantum Impact. It's gone on its 5th year now. Like we just hit
a long time.
The date, and I'm like, all right. So what was the shift for you?
No, wow, double.
I know. I'm just curious because now
no, I am too.
He is. I'm the one that when things like hit a wall, I'm like, oh my gosh, right? And I get to go through my inner work and, you know, what's the trauma in the past that's holding us back. And this guy is so steadfast and like committed and clear that the vision has already happened.
Yeah, I really think it was Amber, that result, right? Like when you can get a client such amazing results, you're like, okay, if I did this once, I can do this again. Like if we wouldn't have gotten as much amazing results with her, we would have probably like figured something else out or pivoted or something. But it's like we got this like, and then there was like one right after it that was pretty good, and then it was actually like a while before we had a really big case study. And like little ones are like, oh, I love this, and I learned a lot, and like little, like I got a client here and there, and it was less big results. I don't think there was something in us that we weren't attracting as high level individuals. But
I think the essence of my work also wasn't fully in there yet too. That we started molding, you know, what I bring to the table. Like when we met, I was in deliverance and healing ministry, and it's always been my heart and the spiritual soul side of breaking chains and breaking the captives free. And there's things that hold people back from really being everything that they're created to be. And so like, how do we bring this in? Because there's people who are getting really great results, and then there's people that was like, yeah, this is great. Like,
you know,
high five.
Looking at it too.
So it opened up a space for me to really bring in like my gifts and what really makes us unique, I think, as a company.
Well, I think that was one thing. I think it was also the health stuff, right? Like where we're overcoming seizures and memory loss and all this stuff. And it's like trying to build like a business and keep momentum and like attract amazing people and all this stuff. Like during that period of time, like we attracted amazing people. They just, I don't know if they didn't, like, it's like they didn't trust us because we were going through so much shit. Like it was.
Well, I think in the health stuff, I was going through all of that health stuff because again, I wasn't aligned to.
We haven't even talked about that yet in this.
Yeah, so we had a lot of health stuff. Like in the midst of this, you know, I was in a hospital bed. And there's kind of a pattern here. Like when stuff goes wrong in my life, my body responds, and I'm well aware of the pattern now.
Yeah. So
I built my life up. I got, you know, really healthy. And then as I stopped getting out of like in alignment with myself and my purpose and what I really feel like God's put me here to do, I start getting health challenges. And now it's like, it really is, as soon as I get it, I'm like, we are there. My body it knows, like I know now. And so bringing in the alignment piece in this work where I feel like I'm in alignment to my purpose and what God has put me here. And we've really created this synergy, and it's been a dance. Like I said, we've been running for 5 years now, and it's been a dance of merging our gifts together and making it really impactful for our clients too, and making it really a well smooth machine. It's been a dance.
Yeah. And so with those results, it sounds like it really gave you that belief, Chad. Do you think that was a piece that allowed you to get the discipline you said you didn't have before? Or was there another driver that pushed that over? Because I want to highlight that, because I really believe that as entrepreneurs, our results or lack of results are all tied to our routines, our discipline, how we choose to show up for ourselves. And so was the belief and the proof of it worked, did that push you over the edge? Or was it just enough cycles finally where you're like, I'm going to stick doing the same things, I'm going to be disciplined because I understand this now? Or what was this? Do you know what the switch over was?
I think it was also this, right? It's like, if I saw that the business model could work, in the sense that like we knew that we could get clients, we knew that we could help clients. Okay, cool. Boom, boom, those things. And then it's like, okay, now we get to consistently do this and grow this to another level. Now, how do we do that and keep on being focused? One of the things that I realized is, being an entrepreneur, I need to be creative and come up with new things, right? So how can I hone that to market this same offer or this same business? And that, I think that's one of the things that I've hacked, is being able to, okay, I need to be creative and create new things. Okay, then what I need to do is use that creativity to create new processes and new systems and new marketing, new angles, new things to get new people in the door.
So it's like you took your wanting to pivot and used it and created that creativity. You channeled that creativity in another way.
Yes.
So that it was ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I went through that same kind of evolution, Chad. It's been years now. I don't know, 6 or 7 or maybe more, but I was at one of the funnel hacking events, and Russell was on stage talking and saying, like, I would build this $1 million business, and then I'd be like, oh, I'll build a second $1 million business. And he'd like, at the end of the year, I had 2 $500,000 businesses. And so he realized to like channel that creativity, that entrepreneurial itch, into just improving what he had. And that, when I heard him say that, I was like, oh, I can do that, because I'm always bored. Like, I'm always like, oh, I want to do something new. And now I can just cycle through the different areas of my business, or I can cycle through investment in one of my leaders, or I can look at improvement. And so, because you're totally right, Chad, like, we can't exist as entrepreneurs without being creative. Like, and so the natural pattern, I think, is like new idea. And I even still pulled a new idea last year, which we ended up shutting down a couple weeks ago. But more and more so, I've been able to say, like, oh, I can just lean in more to what I have. It can be new, it can be fresh and exciting, and it can, it's just taking that focus and channeling it. And I was talking to my son yesterday, actually, and I said, like, he's just like me, and like, I get super obsessed about things. And like, that's an amazing gift. And so learn about it, understand it, and then, just use that obsession to really drive yourself forward, instead of, thinking that it's a bad thing. And so I appreciate you sharing that.
You're welcome.
We have our CCO. She's our Chief Cuteness Officer, who just joined us.
Awesome. Yeah.
So add on to growing family and doing this all, living the dream.
Yeah. So today, I know we've touched on it a little bit, but share a little bit about like what, quantum impact coaching is about, and who you serve, and like what's some of the fun results you've seen, like that you help with clients, and what are some of the exciting things that you guys are focused on right now?
Yeah, so we work with impact-driven coaches and mentors to really attract their ideal clients, package their programs and offers, and then we help them clear all the blind spots out and get alignment to themselves and really create alignment in their whole business. And really, I mean, we've had clients that have come in that they're doing one-on-one, and they're like, I'm working 90 hours a week, and I have a list of people that want to work with me, but they can't because I can't handle it anymore. And we like took them from $8,000 to $15,000 a month to $20-some thousand a month, while working 30 hours a week instead of 90 hours. And then 2 months later, through Holly's energetic work, getting her to $50,000 a month, still working 30 and taking 2 vacations a month.
Wow.
And so we have that type of client, which are amazing, and I love those. Then we have the clients that we have a guy that has a hypnotherapy business, and he basically has to work all month, like 60 hours a week to make $10,000 a month. And we worked with him for a month to get clear on the niche. Still not quite clear on the niche, but I spent about an hour with him to come up with an offer. We threw it up in AI to help him like really kind of create this package and offer. He went out and sold it the next day for $10,000. So so literally like doubled his month like with one offer. I had one day. I know. Like Amber, there's that side of things. We've had clients that are HR consultants come in and want to do coaching and accidentally sign $70,000 worth of consulting while they're trying to get coaching clients, and get coaching clients too. So what else kind of results? We have people from like our best clients are doing about.
So you should just have her first 10K day.
Oh yeah.
We just have it's been an honor to see all these incredible people raise up and just do amazing things in their life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a health coach, and she's a physical therapist. She shut down her physical therapy business, and going through bankruptcy through that business, and is now she's had a very up and down. She's had a couple $10,000 a month. But then when she got into our program, she's done $10,000 every month since she got in, and then she had her first $10,000 week in our program. So
that's amazing. And what, like, I think people hear about alignment and they probably have some sense that they're not in alignment. And I know when I'm not in alignment a lot better now, but walk me through a little bit more of what that actually means for somebody that goes, okay, I conceptually think maybe I know what you mean, but what does it mean to be in alignment? Because you just shared, like, when people get in alignment, all the results come, and I've seen that too. So what is that process like, and can you kind of define that a little bit more?
Yeah, I feel like alignment is one of those words that you almost got to be careful because it can be thrown around as a catchphrase, right? Like, it's an alignment, and it sounds great. But alignment is really, it's kind of a multi-layered thing of your belief, your core belief, your vision, but then on a deeper level, every single one of us are here and we have gifts at a soul level, right? And this is an area that a lot of people don't talk about, is really your soul gifts and how you just naturally show up in the world. Some people just have a natural gift to speak, and their words and how they speak just transform the way entire worlds, like literally, it sounds dramatic, but literally that's just their gift. Other people have this gift of bringing community together and creating missions out in the world and leading. Now, they may not even know that they have this gift. What that looks like is they just have a heart. Maybe they donate coats on Christmas, right? But they haven't tapped into what their real potential and what their gifts are. And when you understand how you work and how your soul was created, and you step into that, you just start flowing because you're back home to yourself and you know who you are and how you work best, but also what are some of your sabotage points, because your gifts and you being in alignment, you just have natural sabotage patterns. Every single one of us has them. So what are those things that just naturally trigger us into our reptilian brain? When we have that awareness, then we have a tool to always get back into our highest self. It may be some people need support, not that they're codependent, but they give so much and hold space that they need support themselves, right? So to make sure that they have a support system and understanding how you work best and really honoring that can make the hugest difference. I truly believe that's why we have clients that they can have we have systems and stuff in place, but also it's a being to just be in flow and to feel good within your body and make $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 months. It's a lot more than just the strategy. Yeah, it's definitely is the being and the belief and the manifesting of all that. Because if you don't believe it's possible, or you have so much other junk going on energetically, emotionally everywhere, then you can't function. It's so much friction. And even though
as entrepreneurs, we push forward and we have all this resiliency and like even the stuff you both have gone through, that's a piece of it, but it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard forever. And there's definitely those guardrails
too that I didn't mention is like those things that have happened in our life that has now created a story that can be brought into our future, right? And then that throws us out of alignment of who we are because we're living in the past story of something. So recognizing what the root causes, the root places of those are at, and being able to clear that, you know, out of your energetics, out of your body, out of your subconscious, your nervous system, and really rewire like your entire programming out of heart-mind coherence can make all the difference of like, let's set some goals and hope we get them.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's such powerful work. And I think I'm fortunate that I kind of stumbled in this and realized earlier on in my entrepreneurial journey that I was never going to be able to understand everything about myself by just looking inward myself, because I know that that's a huge part of the work. But in order to accelerate that, and even in order to have the tools to look inside and do work myself, I've needed great coaches and mentors and people that can reflect back to me and say like, here's what I'm seeing and here's the gifts I see in you. And like, I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday and today, and like they said, I'm really proud of you, Gabe. And like to have somebody outside of you say that gives us different resources and power and fuel to move forward and then become healthy and stable and stand on our own in different areas of life. And so coaching, like all spaces, has people that don't know what they're doing, which is unfortunate, but you know, to watch both of you walk this journey and see the impact and the results you get, you know, the passion that you bring to it and just the investment that you've made, it's something I just strongly encourage everybody to, you know, whether it's, you know, Chad and Holly, or it's somebody else that you feel aligned with, like always reach out, always get that support and get that help and coaching, because you can't see outside of your own head. Like you're always going to have skewed perspective, exactly, which is healthy or unhealthy, but it's skewed, you know, like, and you don't know. And so getting outside input is, in my opinion, the only way to grow consistently. And it's so amazing the work that you both are doing. So I appreciate you sharing your gifts with the world. And is there anything that we didn't cover, any kind of last things that you would want to share with everybody that will be watching now and will be watching this in the future here?
No, just reach out if you want support around, you know, growing an impact-driven coaching or mentoring business.
Oh, and what's the best? Yeah, go ahead, Ellie.
Oh, no, that's okay. I want to throw in some wisdom too. Is like, as entrepreneurs in our journey, whether something that you heard today, maybe you were the one that goes in the 3-month cycles, and you know, whatever part may have resonated with you, it's like coming back home to yourself, right? Each one of us, especially as an entrepreneur, I feel like we were born with a greater vision, and so being consistent in that vision, even when the world doesn't see why, or maybe your people around you don't see why. It's like just connecting and follow that voice, because it is the right, it guides you every time. You may not understand it, but it guides you, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's good advice. Yeah, because sometimes it's hard to trust ourselves when we feel like we failed and we don't actually see that we're just taking big steps towards success. And like, it's hard to see that in the moment. You're definitely right. What's the best ways for people to connect with you or reach out? Where can they learn more about you?
Probably Facebook. Facebook, Chad Octstadt, Holly Octstadt, names right there.
Or you can head over to our group, Coaches for Transformation Collective. We share all sorts of stuff and resources on our live, and any tool or resource to help you out if you're out to make a difference and impact in the world, I'm sure is in that group.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. We'll definitely have you back on soon and catch up on how things are going, but appreciate your wisdom and your time and just giving to everyone here. So I appreciate you both.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Gabe. Thank you.